Hello everyone. So today's day 2 of solving all the questions in the Neetcode 150 list. So today we will be solving another easy problem, and it's called is anagram. So given two strings S and T, return true if the two strings are anagrams of each other. Otherwise return false. And just to explain what an anagram is, it's basically a string that contains the exact same characters as another string, but the order of the characters can be different. So it can be in any order, they just have to have the same characters within the string. So let's get straight into the solution. Cool. So this is going to be the first step to the solution. So let's say we had, let's say we had string 1 and string 2. And let's say string 1 was car, and string 2 was like, let's do arc. Why not? And then, so the first step is we're gonna want to check if the length of string 1 is not equal to the length of string 2. And the reason why we're doing this is, let's say we had some hypothetical string 3. Let's say this was like arc, but with the E at the end. And let's say we want to check if string 3 and string 1 were anagrams. We can already see from the length of each string that they're not anagrams, because the definition of an anagram is that they must have the same characters, just order doesn't matter. But since this has an extra character here, since the length are different, then we already know they're not anagrams. So at this point, we can already return false. So return false. Then the next thing we're going to want to do is we're going to want to initialize two empty dictionaries. So dictionary 1 and dictionary 2. And what we're going to want to do is create a for loop to loop through every single character in both strings. So what I mean by that is we're going to start a for loop, and it's going to go till it hits the range of the length of string 1, which is 4. So it's going to go and like end right before 4. So basically what I mean by that is iteration 1, we're going to add the C into here, and we're going to increment the value of C. So since C has not existed yet, it was at 0, but we're going to add 1 to that. So now this would be 1. So basically what I'm doing here is I'm creating two dictionaries that will hold all the characters of each string as keys, and then the value of the keys are going to be the count of each character in each string. So the number of times it's appeared in each string. So basically with iteration 1, we've added C to dictionary 1. And then we're going to add A to dictionary 2, initialize this to 1, 2. Then next iteration, we have A, this is 1. Then we have R, this is 1. Then the last iteration, we have R, this is 1. We have C, and this is 1. So that's the next thing we did. We created two dictionaries, hold the count for each of the characters in both strings. So the very last step is we're going to compare dictionary 1 and dictionary 2. And we want to see if they're equals with each other. And the reason why we're doing this is if they both have the same characters and the same count of each characters, then that means they must be anagrams. So the way that this works underlyingly, I guess, is we first compare the set of keys of each string. So like it would be like C, A, and R, and A, R, and C. And we can see that both of these contain the same characters. So we validated that they both have the same keys. And since we did that, we can then check the values of each key. So we can start with like both C's, for example. We see that they're both 1, so that's validated. Then A's, we see that they're both 1, so they're equal. And then R's are both 1, so those are also equal. So that's how we basically know that the dictionaries are equal to each other. And yeah, so if they are equal to each other, we can just return this. So if this is true, we return true. If it's not true, we return false. So to do this, it's all of n time complexity, since like I said, we have to loop through the set of keys, make sure they're equal to each other, and check the values. And then this is also going to be O of n, since we are looping through the length of string S, or yeah, S1 or whatever. And then here, this is just going to be constant time. So in total, this algorithm is going to be O of n time complexity, and the space complexity is going to be O of n, since yeah, we're creating 2 new dictionaries based on the input size. Cool, so let's get to coding up the solution. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to check if the length of string s is not equal to the length of string t, because as we said before, if you have a different amount of characters in each string, that means they can't be anagrams, and if this is true, we want to return false. Next, we're going to initialize two empty dictionaries, and we're going to call these dictionary 1, dictionary 2. And then next thing we can do is we're going to loop through the range of the length of string s, and the reason we can do this is because we've already validated that the length of string t is equal to the length of string s, which basically means that we won't reach an out of bounds exception. So next thing we're going to do is in here we're going to increment the value of the character at index I of string s and t in both dictionaries. And then finally, we're going to return if the dictionaries are equal to each other. Cool, so let's start. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to say if the length of s is not equal to the length of t, we're simply just going to return false. And this is the best case scenario, because then this would be a constant time function. The next thing we're going to do is initialize the 2 dictionaries. Do it like that, and then we can loop through the range of length s. Oops. And now this is what we're gonna do. So we're gonna say dictionary 1 at, so here we're grabbing the key, which is the character at index I in string s. And we're going to set this to 1 plus dictionary 1 dot get. So again, the character at index I in string s. And we're going to pass in another parameter, which is a 0. So basically, what this is going to do here is that if the character at index I doesn't already exist as a key in the dictionary, we're going to return a default value as 0. And what we're going to do next is increment that by 1. So basically, this is what's going to help us initialize all these characters to 1 if they haven't been seen yet in the string. And the other case would be is if we had a string like this, where C has already been initialized in the dictionary, then the second time we would grab that, so it would return 1, and then we'd increment that now. So it would now be 2 in the dictionary. So we're going to do the same thing for dictionary 2. So we're going to say t of I equals 1 plus dictionary 2 dot get t of I 0. Cool. Then last thing we're going to do is return if dictionary 1 is equal to dictionary 2. Cool. So let's try submitting this. And got accepted.